The idiom cut to the chase means to get to the point and skip unnecessary details. It originated in the early days of silent films, specifically the practice of film editors cutting directly to exciting chase scenes, often after a slow or romantic introduction to maintain audience engagement.
Hello, and welcome to the Mochiverse. I'm Linette,
And I'm Skip.
and I love that. That is such a nice little nugget. That
Yeah,
makes perfect sense. And it's like, why wouldn't you think if that's what cut to the chase stands for? That's perfect. I love it.
yeah, cool.
Oh, that's so good. And it's a movie thing, which is
It's a
like
movie
also
thing to
right
boot.
up
Yeah,
my alley. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's so
yeah.
good. I
Yeah.
love that. How did we not stumble on that before?
I have no idea. When I looked at it, I goes, did we ever talk about that before? And I couldn't think of a time we did. So I says, let
Yeah.
me just take a shot. And if we did, you'd probably remember it. So
Right. No, no. I mean, it's possible I may have read that someday, but at some point, but I definitely forgot it.
yeah.
That's cool. That's really awesome. Well, hey folks, you're here sitting on our couch with us once again. I have another week of cool trivia and random facts and weird stuff. I've got a few, you've got a few too also? Two
Yeah, I
also.
do. Let me start one, which is this is a popular myth.
hmm I like
Not a
those.
myth is not a myth is a myth.
I was gonna say, are we missing the point or are
Yeah, we're
we?
missing a point. George Washington's teeth.
Oh,
You
I
know,
know this. Yes, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, it's a source of lifelong struggle and pain for him. He had multiple sets of dentures made from various materials. The
Yeah.
most likely material was hippopotamus, maybe even elephant,
Yes.
contrary to the popular myth that his dentures were not made of wood.
Yes.
It really gave him a lot of pain through his whole life. I think that he started in his early 20s losing teeth. There's even the theory, and probably founded in fact, that the picture that's on the $1 bill
Mhm.
of his expression was really because he was in pain from the teeth.
Yeah, and if you look at any of his portraits, because once I read this fact about his dentures, I mean, everybody kind of knows. They always said he had wooden teeth, not true, but
Yeah.
he always had dentures.
Mhm.
But as soon as you find out as a kid or whatever that he had dentures, you look at him whenever you look at the portraits, or at least I did. Every one of his portraits, he's holding his mouth in such a way that does not look comfortable.
Right.
And I think I read somewhere that he had different sets for different occasions as well. So he
Mhm.
would have his like portrait dentures and he would have his speaking dentures and
That's
stuff.
funny.
But yeah, he did have them made out of different materials. And I listened to, I think it wasn't Stuff You Missed in History Class. Shout out to that podcast, but it was another podcast. I think it was Ridiculous History, maybe.
Mhm.
And they were talking about his teeth. And they did talk about the hippopotamus teeth. And it gave me a really something stayed with me that was really funny that I still use today. Now, back in those days, they didn't really call hippopotamuses hippopotamuses. They used to actually call them river horses or seahorses
Oh, okay.
because I don't know, it was either a nickname for them or it was just the name they called them before they referred to any kind of scientific names or anything like that. So when this guy was reading about George Washington's teeth, he said they were described as, either this kind or straight seahorse teeth. And you're like, wait, what? First of all, he was like, wow, that sounds really weird because you're thinking of a seahorse, like a little tiny
Yeah.
seahorse they
Right.
have little
Right.
tiny teeth. But then he thought, yeah,
Itty bitty teeth. Yeah.
itty bitty teeth. But then he also thought it was a really cool phrase, straight seahorse teeth. Kind of like if you're like, wow, that's really bananas. That fact is really bananas. And like, wow, this situation is straight seahorse teeth. So they kind of started using it on the show, which was
Oh,
very
okay.
funny.
Oh,
Um, and then the other thing I wanted to say, I don't know if you read this when you were reading up on this fact.
mhm.
the other kinds of materials that he used to have. Um,
Yeah, I think that there was animal teeth, some human teeth, cow, a horse,
yes,
maybe an
that's right.
elephant,
Hmm.
gold, metal springs,
There was
you know,
metal.
yeah.
Yeah, the fact that I had learned about was the human part. And I guess
Mm.
it makes sort of sense that you would make dentures out of human teeth, especially 1700s time into the 1800s. They were doing that because, what's the closest thing to teeth? Teeth, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But I don't know if you've ever kind of thought about where they would get those teeth.
Oh,
Um,
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've read this before. Yeah,
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 most of them, I mean, they were all from dead people,
right.
but most of them were from like battlefields.
Yes, they were from battlefield. They would go
Yeah.
around to the different corpses, and they would take teeth from. They would look at the teeth of the person. If they looked relatively, if they looked healthy, they would take them
Yeah.
because I think people had a lot of issues with teeth back
Yeah.
before we knew about dental hygiene, if you will.
Oh, sure.
Uh, so that really was the basis for doing dentures. That was how they accumulated them, and
Yeah,
they
it's
would get them from enslaved people as
they
well as.
would. Yep, they did get them for a lot from enslaved people as well. And like the dead people from battlefields and the enslaved people, you're basically talking about organ donation without consent. You know what I mean?
It's pretty much, yep, yeah, yeah,
And it's just kind of creepy, but at the same time, I don't think that the people doing it were doing it out of malice. It was just necessity. Like, well, they don't, the enslaved people, that's a whole other ball game that I don't want to touch. But
right.
the dead people, it's like, well, do they need them for anything currently? I mean, you use teeth for one thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're
So
all
you,
done with that.
yeah, you use them for eating food and opening up packages. So,
Yeah.
so I don't think they need them anymore. They're not opening up. They don't have to open up a package of scissors
Yeah, yeah,
with it because anyway. So that's a
yeah.
that's a fascinating one.
That
Did you ever see the mini series, the John Adams one that came out like several years ago?
John Quincy Adams or
No,
John
John
Adams.
Adams, the one with
Oh yeah, I
what's
know
his name?
Paul Giamatti.
Yes,
No,
Paul
yes.
Giamatti. It was very good for a lot of reasons, and Richard and I reference it to each other a lot because it
Mm,
was pretty historically accurate in a lot of ways. There was a lot of interesting things they pulled out. But one of the things that was really interesting that they don't usually show in movies, which I kind of thought was a good touch, was as everybody was getting older, in particular John Adams and his wife, their teeth were getting yellower and like browner
mm,
and like gray. Like they actually did makeup on their teeth as they were getting older, more so than the aging with the makeup. Like they kind of
right,
did it alongside with it, but they did it even with more detail. And I was like, that's an interesting detail that most movies wouldn't even bother with, you
right.
know? And
Yeah,
I was just like, yeah, of course her teeth are like janky. She's like 65 and it's the 1700s, you know?
that's right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I thought that was an interesting touch, but yeah, really glad that I don't live in those times. Not that I go to the dentist as often as I should, but yeah. This one is cool. I don't know if this is interesting to you. It involves science, but it also involves nerdiness. So there's a trilobite, like a 450 million year old trilobite, so obviously like a fossil, that they named Han Solo. That's
Really?
its yeah, that's its literal scientific name. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but like, so when a new species or a new animal is discovered, which happens a lot, by the way, there's
Mhm.
always like a new fly that's being discovered or a new ant or something.
Yeah.
The person who discovers it gets to name it. And so generally scientists, I think a lot of scientists sort of lean towards the nerdy side of things because when
Mhm.
you study science, you study things in a lot of like minutia and you study things that are fascinating to you. You kind of have to be obsessed with them. And the kind of person who is obsessed with things is also usually the kind of person who's a fan of things, right?
Right.
We talked about this before. If you have any kind of obsessive tendencies, you're usually a fan of something.
Mhm.
And so a lot of these scientists are super nerdy with either sci-fi or literature or whatever have you. So there's a lot of really cool animal names, and I have some examples. So, but first I want to talk about the little rules. So there are some rules about how they are supposed to be named. The name has to have two names. So the name of the animal, it has to have the genus name, which is like, well, I forget the differences between genus and species and sub whatever, and animal this or whatever, animalia or kingdom. But it has to have the genus name is first, and then the species name is second.
Okay.
The other rule is that it has to be either Latin or Latinized. So Latin sounding.
Oh, okay.
And that's as far as the rule goes. That's as loose as it is. So it
Well,
doesn't have to be real Latin. It just has to be like kind of like Latinish.
Latin is like pig
Right.
Latin or
So,
something. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So because of these loose rules, some scientists who are also like goofy and stuff, they have a little fun with it. So there's one called, it's a dinosaur that was discovered called Hogwartsia.
Okay.
It's named after Harry Potter.
It's Harry.
There's another one for Harry Potter that was named like something else Hogwartsian, and but it had to do with the fact that the animal looked like a sorting hat from Harry Potter.
Oh,
It's very funny. This one I really loved. This is a species of snail that was named Crikey Steve Irwini. Named after Steve Irwin, who always
Steve
said
Irwin. Yeah.
crikey.
Oh, yeah. Crikey. Yeah. Wow.
Crikey.
Hi, crikey.
Crikey. So that's really cute. There's one I actually heard about this one on, also I think on Ridiculous History or something like that. It's Scaptia beyonce. Okay. And it's a species of fly that's named after Beyonce.
Let's see.
The reason it's named after Beyonce is because it has like a big butt. And of course, that reminds me also, did you know about the first cloned animal was the cloned sheep? You remember that when
Yeah.
that happened? You remember its name was Dolly?
Dolly Parton.
Dolly the sheep, right?
The
Yes.
sheep.
She
Yeah.
was named after Dolly Parton. Do you know why?
Why?
Because she was cloned from mammary cells.
There we go.
So that's that. Okay, so I have more. There's a whole bunch of wasps in the genus Polemistus or Polemistus, and they're all named after Star Wars characters. So there's like, you know how they would put like just the letter of the genus name, like you would see like
Yeah.
Staphylococcus aureus, it would be like S aureus or
Yeah.
whatever. So they're named P Yoda, P Chewbacca, and P Vaderi.
Hmm.
And they're all these different wasps. There's a spider named Heteropoda David Bowie. It's just David Bowie without a space. It's just
Without a
David,
space. Yeah.
just straight up David Bowie.
David Bowie. Wow.
Well, when he was doing that, when he did that concept album back in the 70s, the group was called the Spiders, if you remember. The whole Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew Ziggy Stardust. I didn't know it was the spiders. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. So yeah. There's a parakeet named Veni Vidi Vici,
Benny Vidi.
which isn't that I came, I saw, I conquered.
Yeah, I saw it. I came, I saw, I conquered. Yeah.
Yeah. There's that was a good one. Okay. This is spelled Heerz for the first name.
Hmm.
And the second name is Lukenatcha. It's a wasp, and it's pronounced here's looking at you.
He's looking at
There's another group of wasps named, it's spelled Pieza, so it's like pizza, and
you.
they have pizza pie, pizzeria, and pizza cake, Kake. There's also a water beetle named, the first name is spelled YTU, and it's named E2 Brutus.
That's fun.
Isn't that great?
That's great. Yeah.
And there's literally millions of them
I believe
online.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to stop myself because I was like, oh my God, I could find 100 more. I'm just gonna like
Yeah.
shut it down. So
Yeah.
maybe we
Those
could
are
do
pretty
another.
cool, though. Yeah.
Yeah, we will do another set of those at some point. But I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is so much fun. Yeah.
Yep. You've heard about the curse of the Bambino, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. How about the curse of the Colonel?
I told you this story once.
Okay. Is about the statue of the Colonel tossed in the river?
Yes, it's actually on my my other podcast, Sofa Spuds History. But yeah, you could talk about it if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got another one which you probably didn't have, but so apparently the Hassan Tigers baseball team were
Yeah.
cursed by KFC founder and mascot after the statue of the Colonel was tossed in the river by the celebrating
Yes.
team at the 1985 World Championship. By the way, that sort of speaks about when Tom Brady tossed the Super Bowl trophy across from one boat
Right.
to the other.
Yeah.
They caught it, so that nothing happened there. But the team endured a 18 years streak of
They did.
futility, and the incident they haven't won a championship since. But this one here, this is one that's even better. I probably should live with this one.
Yeah.
I taken a couple of baseball ones. Cleveland pitcher Bob Feller
Hmm.
once threw a pitch that was fouled off by the batter and hit his mother.
Oh no.
The kicker, it was Mother's Day.
Oh no.
Happy
Oh
Mother's
no.
Day. You know,
And also, can we just say, like, it's Mother's Day and you make your mother come to a baseball game?
yeah, I know.
I mean, I know
Yeah,
she's probably proud of her son and be like, "Oh, I'm here with my son's baseball game. What a great Mother's Day." Yeah, well, maybe
yeah,
next year go to brunch, right?
yeah. And here is one that's sort of, you may or may not know this one. And if you do, you can stop me. Just before he became the first man in space,
Yeah.
Yuri Gagarin
Yeah.
relieved himself on the wheel of a bus that had driven him to the launching pad.
Oh.
Today, urinating on the wheel of a bus is still a launch day tradition
Oh
among
my
Russian cosmonauts.
God. Oh, Russians, aren't they funny? Did you? That's good. I was watching we're always at watching weird documentaries, and we were watching a documentary about submarines and life on submarines. And it was a Russian submarine. And it was modern day.
Yeah,
And they have a tradition on this submarine when you're first come on. Like you've got your crew and you first getting started before you're all getting to know each other, you're all doing the thing. Whatever it is that military people do, there's going to be traditions and
right.
rituals and things. And one of the rituals they have, it's kind of like an initiation. And these are all like young people, probably like 19, 20.
Yeah.
They take like a light fixture, like the glass that goes on one of the light fixtures, take it down, fill it up with seawater. And they all have to drink basically a big cup of seawater.
Which will make you throw up.
And I think yeah. And I was talking to one of my former coworkers who's Russian about this. And he's like, no, you're not going to throw up. You're a military guy in Russia. You're fine. He's like, and none of them
Yeah,
did. I was watching for it
really.
because I have this curse where everything I watch, there's a vomit scene, and I have like a phobia about vomit. So I'm like just cursed that everything that's on TV today has a throw up scene. And we're watching this documentary, and they're like, oh, they all have to drink seawater. I'm like, oh, here we go. Here we
Yeah.
freaking go. None of those guys, and they're all like 19, 20. None of them threw up. None of them
Yeah.
even coughed. They were all just like super
They must,
stoic.
yeah, that's, there was I was a story I was reading today in the paper. It was, you remember the scene from Jaws where they were talking about the Lexington sinking?
The Indianapolis. Yeah.
Indianapolis, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was reading the story today, and one of the things that killed a lot of the sailors was not just the sharks, but they had poisoning from drinking seawater.
Yes, they
Because what
did.
happens is we're made of water and salt, and basically it by drinking the seawater, it attacks all your organs because your organs are trying to compensate for the
Right.
fact that you have too much salt in your system.
Yeah, your cells can't take it because
Yep.
the seawater won't let fresh water in after a while. It's like a
Mhm.
whole osmosis problem that
Right.
happens. Yes, a lot of those men died from like dehydration as a
Yep.
result of that and malnutrition. They
Yep.
also died from exposure.
Right.
and sharks, and
Yep.
just like, I mean, I'm sure some drowning, but also like you're exhausted, you're not sleeping, and you just like it was a horrible, horrible thing
Well,
that
there was
happened.
900 sailors that went into the sea,
Yeah,
and only 300 survived.
yeah,
And the biggest issue was that they were on a secret mission to
yep,
deliver parts for the atomic bomb.
they were
So they didn't even know they were missing.
correct.
And it was just they were just found by accident. A plane just flew over and saw them in the sea.
Yeah, it was a guy, yeah, it was a young guy actually who was just and they had flown over many times before he saw them, and it was
Mhm.
around the same areas and nobody had
Yep.
seen them, and then he just went, "You know what? I'm just going to go one more time." And
Yep.
he saw them. And
Yeah.
the other thing that was really horrible about the men was when they were pulled up after when they were doing the rescue, a lot of their skin was coming off because they had
Yep.
been in the water so
Yep.
long. And yeah, the thing about the Jaws thing, Robert Shaw did a good amount of research when he wrote that monologue.
Mhm.
The only thing he got wrong was the date, really.
Oh, okay.
It happened in July, not in June. He said it was June the 29th, but it was actually in late July. It was around this time. It was like the either the 30th or the 31st or the 29th or something like
Yeah,
that
something like that. I was just reading
of
it today.
July.
It was, and the other thing about that, and I wasn't planning on getting into this, but the other thing
Oh yeah.
about that was the captain who survived
Yeah.
was court-martialed,
Yeah.
and because they say he didn't do enough to protect them. He didn't zigzag and stuff like that.
Yes, I
And,
saw about
and,
that.
and they even they were able to interview the Japanese sub commander,
Mm-hmm.
and he said that it wouldn't have mattered if they zigzagged.
Yep.
He said we still would have got them. And later years, that captain actually committed suicide.
He did. Yeah.
But it's fairly recently where his honor was restored,
I saw that.
which
I think
only rightfully so. Yeah.
yeah, we actually did watch a we watched a documentary about that fairly recently actually.
Mhm.
And there was like a letter writing campaign from some of the survivors
Yep.
that
Yep.
contributed to his exoneration basically.
Yep.
Because everybody really kind of knew that he wasn't to blame
Right.
for that. And that was a very touching story. It was one of those documentaries that, he always puts it on the weekends, and then we always end up crying because there's these like old guys crying.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know,
I know.
every
Yeah.
time we watch like a Pearl Harbor documentary, and there's all these guys like, I was 19 years old, and they're like these old guys that are like crying, and I'm like, stop it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I
Hey,
mean, it's so good. Get so much information.
it really is, and you probably know this one, which is really related. This is
Oh
a,
yeah.
related to something happened at the sea. That the writer Morgan Robertson wrote a book about the British ocean liner called the Titan.
Yes.
It sank when it hit an iceberg.
Years before the Titanic. Yeah.
14 years before
Yes.
that is
Yeah,
amazing.
I
Yes.
know. That was actually, I think the first time I read about that was in one of those, books like that I used to collect all the time, a
Yeah.
book of toilet facts or something, like the Uncle John's bathroom reader or something. My fascination with this stuff has gone back way back. Yeah, isn't that amazing though? It's like
Yeah.
it's kind of
Well,
creepy.
yeah, it is. When I read, when I saw that, I goes, "Oh, that's that is kind of creepy that that would be the case."
It
By the
is.
way, recently, and to go back to the ship that sank, uh, they fairly it took them years, and they finally discovered the ship.
They
So
did. Yes. I think that was, as a matter of fact, that might have been the documentary I was watching,
it
was
probably had
like
that.
it
Yeah.
was about the people who found it.
Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
then they also were talking with, they had multiple parts of the documentary. It was like,
Right.
the people going to look for shipwrecks, and then also survivors and the story about the captain and all of that
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I've heard many retellings of the Indianapolis.
Mhm.
And it got it got a lot of recognition, I guess, because of Jaws. Um,
Yeah,
because of that monologue, because, it was like relatable. All of a sudden, people who would never have heard about it started hearing about it, and then they were curious about it, and then they do research, and then they learn more. It's very
yeah,
interesting how that can happen.
yeah. I'm sure a case like that where you hear this monologue and you get curious and you go, did they just make this up?
Yeah.
And then you look into it and say, holy crap, it's a true story.
Well, yeah. Oh, I remember as a kid watching Jaws, I knew he was talking about like a boat. I didn't know it was like a real one. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I thought
Yeah,
he was just talking about something that happened. And then years later, listened to like a podcast and they were talking about the Indianapolis. Oh, that's the one they're talking about in Jaws. And then even much later, I've watched Jaws so many times because it's one of my favorite movies. Everybody in that room knows what it is.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Except, well, actually, except for Brody. Brody doesn't know anything about anything, but that's
Mhm.
okay. But I mean, Hooper knew what it was.
Mhm.
Hooper's much younger.
Yeah,
He wouldn't have been alive.
yeah,
And yet,
yeah,
as soon as he asked him what the mark was on his arm, and he said he had a tattoo removed and it was the Indianapolis, Hooper stops laughing and he's like, "Wait, you were on the Indianapolis?" And
yeah,
that's when the story starts. So it's like crazy.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, very interesting. I have a short one
Okay.
that might lead into some banter, and then I have another listy one. So my short one is this. I don't know why this fascinated me. There's a restaurant in Italy.
Mhm.
It's called Osteria Franciscana. And it's one of those restaurants that I'm never going to go to. It's one of those, those gastrochemistry, biology, scientific experiment like restaurants where you're just like, the plate has like a little gelatinous cube on it, and you have to eat like an edible balloon filled with smoke that's from cooked food. You know what I mean? There's like rocks and stuff. It's one of those kind of restaurants, right?
Yeah.
But the names of their dishes, one of them that caught my eye, it's called the crunchy part of lasagna.
Okay. We know there's a crunchy part to lasagna. Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, wait. I would totally eat that as a dish. Can I make that? Can I make a restaurant? Can I make a food truck that just has like the crunchy parts of food? Like I can have
Yeah.
the crunchy part of lasagna, the butt of the bread, and like the ends of brownies, like just
Yeah.
the edges of brownies.
Edge of brownies. Yeah. There you
It's
go.
like the Seinfeld thing with the muffin top.
Muffin tops. Yeah.
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 Now there were no descriptions of the dishes. There were some pictures. It's one of those websites that they spent like $10,000 on the website itself. So it was
Mhm.
really way too fancy. And the FAQ section is just pictures of the chefs. Like, okay, whatever. But also on the menu, I guess like the names of these dishes. Uh, onions dreaming of caviar.
Okay.
That's the name of the dish. So like, I'm just imagining. And what's funny is that I'm not imagining a dish with onions and caviar on it. I'm imagining the person who comes and brings it to you and they give you those instructions on how to eat it.
Yeah.
They're telling you, they're like, this is an onion that dreams of caviar. And it's not even an onion on the plate. You just said it's like a spoon of some like goop and you have to put it in your mouth and you have to put yourself in the place of that onion and imagine what he dreams of when he goes to sleep at night. Is it caviar guilt, like about all the bad things that caviar said to them over the years when they were little, or what?
Something fishy there.
Something fishy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's another one called In the Forest. It's just called
In the
In the
forest.
Forest. Maybe
Okay.
it's mushrooms. I don't know. Um, there's one. I like this one. I think you would like this one. It's a question. It says, "Where is the pasta fagioli going?" That's the name of the dish.
Joey.
Like, where's the pasta fagioli going?
Yeah.
Well, I hope it's going in my mouth. Like,
Yeah.
what? What kind of restaurant is this? An enema? Is this a pasta fagioli enema?
So, yeah.
If so, I'm not interested.
Wow.
Where's it going? I don't know. It shouldn't be going anywhere. It's food. Is the
Yeah, that's
pasta
right.
fagioli
Yeah.
walking? Wait, I know. The pasta fagioli is going. It's like the Billy Joel song, you
Yeah.
know, like left a note on the door and saying move out to the country. So maybe the pasta fagioli is moving out to the
To the
country
country. Yep.
and to get a house in Hackensack
Hackensack.
because that's all you get for your money. All right. So the last one on this menu is called Jazz Duck, improvisation.
All that jazz.
Jazz Duck.
Jazz.
So when I think of that, is my question is Jazz Duck anything like Disco Duck?
Oh, when you said it, all I could think of was, and all that jazz.
And all that jazz. So it's like a duck with like really bad, like heavy makeup, wearing
Yeah.
like lingerie,
Yeah.
doing jazz hands with the top hat with glitter
With
on
the
it,
top hat. That's
with
right.
sequins, doing like some Chicago. What was the name of that? What was the name of that director who did all of those like Chicago and
Oh, I don't know.
all that
Fosse?
jazz and yeah, Fosse.
Yeah.
He's doing like the Fosse dancing.
That's funny.
Bob Fosse. Yeah. And actually, wait, wasn't that a movie that they made all that jazz? Wasn't that the guy from Jaws who was in that who played Brody?
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was.
Yeah.
Wow, we're making connections. Yeah, so does that sound like a restaurant you'd like to go to?
Hard pass.
Right? That's the kind of restaurant you go to, and then afterwards you stop by McDonald's and actually eat some food.
Food. Yeah. Yeah.
So pretentious. Oh my God. So that was my little quick one. And my listy one is one that I think you would like. I think we talked about this briefly before when we were talking about roadside attractions.
Mhm.
I got a list of weird museums.
Oh, okay.
So in Kansas, there's a barbed wire museum,
Okay.
which sounds like a lot of fun to go to. And actually probably is pretty historical because barbed wire has been around for a long time. It had a
Yeah.
lot of
There's got to
different
be a point
designs.
to that.
Oh my God. Wait, that's at the end of the show. Wait your turn, mister. There's a pencil sharpener museum in Ohio,
Mhm.
because why not? And wasn't there a pencil museum? Didn't we talk about a pencil museum?
We actually did a episode about
We did an episode about
pencils.
pencils, yes.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's a pencil museum,
I bet there
but
is.
yeah, we did a thing about pencils. Yeah.
There's a museum in Italy. You know, other languages always make things sound so much better than they are. This is called the Museo della Merda. Do you know enough Italian to know what that might mean?
No.
Okay. The word merda means shit.
Yeah. See, I knew it wasn't. I knew it wasn't good, but
Wasn't good. Yeah, it's a museum of shit in Italy. And there's also one in
another crappy story.
another crappy story. Yes.
Yeah.
There's another one in Arizona called the Pooseum.
The museum. Okay. Okay.
And it's all poop. There's a Cockroach Hall of Fame museum in Texas.
Mhm.
And this is one of those places that rather than being a museum, I think it's a big art installation. Have you ever seen the thing where, well, kind of like what my mother used to do with the mice, where she
Huh.
took the little mice and she would put clothes on them and they would
Yeah.
be doing all different things. There's there's different little mini museums and different little art installations where people take like taxidermied animals
Mhm.
and make them do things. Like there's a squirrel person who does that, and
Yeah.
there's this one really old piece that's taxidermy. It's like a taxidermy frog
Mhm.
that's like standing on its back legs and it has a sword and it's like fighting with the sword. But that's what this person does. They have actual cockroaches and they're all preserved and they're like in different situations. Like they put them in uh little scenes. Like one's on a beach, sitting in a beach chair with like a little drink and
I'd be tempted to step on it.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I had one in my kitchen. We just did like the brown gel, to get rid of them. And of course, so you're going to see some dying ones crawl out after a while. And there was one kind of dying one in the kitchen, and I sprayed about a third of a can of bug spray on it, even though it was already dying, because I just do not play with those little mofos. But yeah, so that's the
Wow.
cockroach museum. There's a bunny museum in California.
Well, I'm sure you're happy about that. You would go to that.
Yes, it's got a giant bunny topiary. And actually it looks a little too childish for me because it looks like they've focused on the Easter thing a lot more
Yeah.
than I would like. But yeah, there's like bunny stuff everywhere. There's one place in Croatia called the Museum of Broken Relationships, which sounds to me more like an art installation. It's like jewelry and keepsakes and probably birthday cards, all from
Yeah.
relationships that are over, and they're just like on display.
Mhm.
It kind of reminds me of, do you ever hear of like smash rooms that they do now?
The what?
Smash rooms. So it's
Smash
like,
rooms. Oh, yes. Yes, I've heard
yeah,
of those.
so you
Yes.
could go and you could like take a sledgehammer and smash stuff.
Yep.
Well, there
Hmm.
are some smash rooms that you can pay extra to bring your own stuff. Like if you want to bring like a picture of your ex
Hmm.
to smash things like that, a mug he gave you or whatever. So that's what that reminds me of. In Wisconsin, there's the National Mustard Museum. So not cheese, but
Mustard Museum. Okay.
mustard. Yeah, mustard museum. In Turkey, there's a hair museum, which is literally just all people's hair. Just
Uh,
that's kind of creepy. And this place is not in Salem. It's called the Witchboard Museum, and it's all Ouija boards,
hmm.
all different Ouija boards, but it is not in Salem, which is very disappointing. And then in a town called Boring, Oregon, there is the North American Bigfoot Center, which I've heard of before.
Okay.
And it's a museum of Bigfoot. And it also, like, you can go on Bigfoot tours and like try to find Bigfoot yourself.
Bigfoot. Yeah.
And it probably sells like, the big shoes you could put on your feet to like make
Hmm.
Bigfoot tracks and stuff.
Right. Right.
Like
The whole experience.
the
Yeah.
whole experience, yeah. So that's just a few weird museums. That's another thing that probably has a million examples. So yeah, so that
Good.
was that. Do you have any other little ones or
It was one, but I really don't have it written up.
oh, okay.
Okay, I'm going to do this one here. And it's like, okay, what can you tell about a man from his shoe size? Okay, stop sniggering. In most cases, it won't even tell you the size of his feet.
Right.
You know,
Right.
uh, you know, back in 2002, uh, there was a published study by Britain Journal of Urology International, naturally. Um, and the scientific approved there's no link between shoe size and penis size.
No.
You know, uh, they measured the foot size of and penis length of 104 men. In each case, the penis was generally stretched before it was measured. No
Yeah.
correlation was found.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're always stretched before they're measured, just so you know.
Yeah, that's right. Just stretch it out.
Never trust a person to measure their own. They have to
Yeah,
have, yeah,
this is
somebody
true.
else
You
has to measure
never,
it for
you,
them.
you never do that. So
There is a museum dedicated to that particular organ
okay.
in Norway.
Yes, yes, I think I read that too.
Have you
Yeah.
ever heard about that? Yeah. So the thing I watched a way too lengthy documentary on it. Like seriously. Um
You stretch it out too
yeah,
much.
basically they've got them from every species you can think of. And in
Yeah.
most animals it's actually a bone.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
bone
Yes.
there.
Right.
Um but I don't know if when you heard about this museum, did you hear about the guy who wanted to be like the ultimate exhibit there?
No.
So there was a guy who was really interested in this museum. And so he donated his own member after he died so that it could be in the museum. And he wanted to donate it much sooner, but they like wouldn't let him.
Was it was Wasn't there a story that they did that with Napoleon?
I think there is a thing about Napoleon, and I think
It may be a myth.
yes, or like either Napoleon or Rasputin or one of those.
One of those two guys.
Yeah. But yeah, this guy, he kept telling the museum, like he wanted to set up, he even set up his own little case for it and everything.
Mhm.
He said, this is what the display is going to look like. He
Yeah,
tried to get permission from like the government of Norway
yeah.
to allow himself to have it removed while he was alive so that he could
Wow.
see it in the museum. He's like, I don't want it anymore. Can I donate it? And they're like, no, there's no doctor who's going to do that for you. It's like, and so they didn't. So after he died, he was 95. He had
Okay.
it donated, and it was the first human exhibit in the museum. Um,
Okay.
have you, on that note, have you ever heard of people who have like limbs removed for that kind of reason? There's like a,
Hmm.
yeah, I think I don't know if it's actually termed a psychological disorder or if they're kind of getting away from calling it a psychological disorder or not. I'm not sure about the current terminology, but at the time saw information on it, it was considered a psychological disorder where you, as a person, you feel like your leg or your arm doesn't belong there. And it
Hmm.
feels really wrong to you to have it. And so,
Hmm.
like, the treatment for that is to have it removed and to have it amputated. And after this amputation, these people feel so much better and they feel like their true selves and they feel whole after they've had this weird,
Oh,
this like foreign limb that they think is not supposed to be there removed. And it's actually like it's a fascinating condition to have. And I don't know if it's still considered a psychological condition. I know a lot of people will just like make fun of it or whatever, but I think I would say that it's real. A lot of people would say that it's just bullshit, but I do believe that sort of thing about your psychology, about how
yeah.
you feel about your identity and how you feel like if your identity feels wrong, like you would feel completely just not yourself until part of it was changed, like a
Okay.
trans person, kind of thing. So I always
Hmm.
found that fascinating years ago when I learned about that. But yeah, I guess there are still people who have like their leg amputated or their arm amputated because they feel this something's just not right if it's there. It's very interesting
Yeah.
to me.
Wow.
But yeah, so
Okay.
but yeah,
Hmm.
so those are, I mean, I have other facts, but they can definitely survive to another episode.
Yeah, and I have more too, but like I said, they can survive to another episode.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah.
I think we did a nice little bundle there.
Yep.
Um, so I guess that leaves me to say, folks, please send us an email at mochiverse@gmail.com. MOCCIAVERSE@gmail.com. Come and visit us on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to us there and rate us. Give us a nice big juicy rating on there. Write us a little review. We could use it. It would help people find us in search engines and it would be kind of cool. Uh,
Yep.
or if you just can't be bothered to do that, just tell somebody about it and tell somebody to listen. You
That's
can
it.
find us on any of the podcasts platforms. We're on Spotify, we're on Amazon, we're everywhere. Just Google us. Because I Google us every couple of weeks just to see if anybody's written a review about us.
Yeah. We're everywhere. We're everywhere. Yeah.
We're everywhere. We're the Mochaverse. We
There
are
you
all
go.
encompassing. So with that, do you have some groan worthy dad jokes to grace me
Yes, I
with?
do. Nitrous oxide is not a laughing matter. Oh, wait, yes, it is.
Yes, it is. It is
Yeah.
exactly a laughing matter.
Yeah. I have the easiest recipe for a banana split.
Hmm.
Cut it in half.
That is how you split a banana.
That's right. What do you call a cat that eats lemons? You know this one,
What?
a sourpuss.
Oh my God. Okay, whatever.
If you forget to pay for your exorcism, will you be repossessed? Possessed?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. You know, hey, listen, I think I said this one before that my ex misses me.
Yeah.
but her aim is improving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear the story about the fire at the shoe factory?
Oh, all those poor souls.
Now, hundreds of souls were lost.
I was close.
And it's just, I'm really kind of upset. Some guy stole my mood ring.
Oh, yeah.
Still don't know how I feel about it.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Is that
yeah.
all of them?
That's it.
Oh, we did it. We lived through it, folks. All
There
right.
you
So
go.
I guess we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Daddy wasn't finding a bow wow. Daddy wasn't finding a bow wow. I've got a little cat. I'm very fond of that. I'd rather have a big bow wow.
Oh, that's okay. You froze anyway. So,
Yeah, you froze too.
yep, that's okay.